Welcome to the commentary booth, where we watch and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator Jamie Apps, and each week I'm joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by a freelance social commentator who lists their favourite movie as American Psycho, and as we can see, favourite TV show, Yellowstone.
Hell yeah.
Welcome to the show, Blake Robinson.
Hello, Jamie Apps.
How's everything? All ramped up, ready for Christmas?
Ramped up, ready for Yellowstone tonight. You mean? It is Yellowstone Mondays. Very exciting. The season's just slipping through my fingers, though. It's going too quick. I think we're up to episode 6 already.
I was going to say, it must nearly be getting close to the end, is it?
Yeah, sad times. You just got to enjoy it while it lasts.
So I'm sure I'll know exactly when it ends, when Mum is sad and has nothing to do on a Monday night anymore.
Yeah, I'm not ready for it. I think that they're long seasons, though. Like, I think they're like at least 10, 12, 14 episodes. Unlike Peaky Blinders, where we've got
6.
8. Yeah, 6 wasn't even 8. I hate that. But then, like, I'm grinding through Wednesday at the moment. It's just a struggle to get through. I don't know. I'm just like, I was so keen on it, but it's not lived up to my hype.
Yeah, I loved it.
I'm pretty much an episode every 5 days at the moment.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it is good. It's enjoyable, but it wasn't what I was expecting. It's very like teeny.
Yep.
If you know what I mean.
At least when Yellowstone finishes, isn't the spin-off due shortly after?
1926, I think it is that one.
Yeah, so.
Harrison Ford, that's going to be very good.
That'll keep you carried over until.
Yeah, I may even. Hopefully. I still need to get in the. Was it Tulsa King?
Yep.
Yeah, a bus drove past me yesterday and it had full billboard on the side promoting it. I was like, I need to watch that still.
And did you watch Mayor of Kingstown yet as well?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Apparently, that's another Sheridan show.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't realise either, and I loved that show. So now I'm like questioning myself on.
I do.
I actually like Yellowstone.
But Mayor of King. Oh, sick. Who's it got? Jeremy Renner.
It's very good.
I rate him, eh? Yeah. It looks mad. Oh yeah, a couple of people from Yellowstone are actually in it.
Yeah. So that.
Yeah, sick.
When I learnt that this week, I was like, oh god, does that mean I would actually enjoy Yellowstone? God damn.
It's got heaps of actors from Yellowstone. Yeah, man.
So there you go. That'll carry you through the rest of.
Well, that'll give me motivation to knock Wednesday over. Try something new.
Yeah. Finish Wednesday, and then you can just Sheridan binge
Change
the rest of the year.
Yeah, he's so good. He needs to do some movies.
I'm surprised he hasn't done more movies.
You've done a lot, eh? With like, I don't know what it is, like the crossover. Like, there seems to be people that just make shows, and there's others that just make movies, and they sort. I don't know if it's like an unspoken rule that like just stay in your own lane sort of thing.
Yeah,
like,
I guess
there's so many writers and like directors, producers of TV shows. You're like, why aren't they making movies? Well, I guess Peaky Blinders creator, he's delving into it.
True, but I guess like Vince Gilligan, like he's always just stuck to TV shows like Breaking Bad and those things. But I guess with TV, they have a bit more flexibility in how deep they go into the storytelling because they have 12 hours instead of 2.
Yeah, for sure. And no, like it's time restraints, I guess. Like currently waiting 2 years for the next Euphoria season.
Yep. So on to this week's topic. This week we're reviewing 2 very different films, although each one explores a dark time in history. Strangely, one of them took me by surprise in that field. Yeah, very much. So first up is Will Smith's Apple TV exclusive Emancipation, and then following that we're going to go back to the world of Pinocchio and review Guillermo del Toro's interpretation of that story on Netflix. So first up, Emancipation, the brand new Apple TV exclusive historical action movie, loosely based on a true story. What did you think of this one before we dive into it?
First things first, Apple TV remains the unsung hero, producing heat without fuss, constantly. When the trailer came out, a few weeks ago, I sent this to you, and I was like, oh my god, I was mind blown. I was like, I'm so excited for this. And it exceeded expectations. Let's just say that. There's something about slavery films that I haven't seen a bad one, and they're all so raw, and they just tell the story so well.
Yeah, especially this one, knowing that it's loosely based on that true story, it just makes it hit a little bit harder.
Yeah, I didn't realise until the end what the story actually was. I didn't really do too much background checks, but yeah, I am familiar with that. Obviously, like that iconic photo.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like you mentioned, the trailer came out. Saw that. For me, this didn't quite live up to the trailer, but it was still a fantastic movie.
What makes you say that?
Because
the trailer was just so damn good.
Yeah, I think it was just an incredible trailer, and yeah, like it just was. It was a lot slower and like a little bit of a different story than I expected. I expected it to be much more focused on in like plantation life, not so much the escape and then the bits leading up to the final battle type thing.
So yeah, I actually really liked how they did it, like less plantation life, because it's like focused more on the character.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it was still great. It just was different to what I expected.
Had a lot of what is it? What was that? What is it? What was it called? 1912, 1922? That war movie.
1917, 1914?
Got me, history teacher wouldn't be like me getting these dates.
19 something.
You know what I'm saying anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I felt like that. Like it was just constant, like Will Smith on the run.
Yeah, follow
vibes.
this one person on this crazy journey across a space.
What did you think about the most ridiculous scene in the movie, him fighting a croc? Is it a bit far-fetched? Was it almost too much?
That was, a bit too much when he's, like, in the water it bites
waiting
him, and then all of a sudden he's, like, outside of its mouth and fighting it off. I'm like,
bro,
if an alligator bites you, it's not letting go.
Will Smith was just full of grit this whole movie. I honestly wanted to run through a brick wall when I turned it off. It got me up and about. It is a good Monday motivation film. There were some scenes, like they didn't. Let's just say they didn't hold back in the gore and violence, and you see some shit in this. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah.
But the Gators. The first time I was like, when I was waiting for it, I was like, they sort of built it up to that moment too. Like when they initially walked through the first swamp, and it was full of gators. Like, how didn't they get eaten? You were sort of waiting for it to happen.
I was expecting at least one of them to get taken in that moment.
And it didn't happen there. Then I think they went for another swamp and there was gators and nothing happened. I was like, where is the gator action? It's building up to it and I want it.
And then when it came, you were like, oh, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, like, oh, this is almost ruining the integrity of the film. Like, this is a bit of a piss take, surely. Yeah. Fights off this gator underwater with, like, a stick, which he somehow...
No, it was a knife. He had an actual knife.
Yeah, but he somehow found some stick because he was somehow seeing underwater in the swamp.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a movie.
Yeah, that bit
but if it's based on a true story, fair enough. Fair play if he actually did fight this croc in real life, but... Anyway, that's my big takeaway from this. So I'm sure I'm not the only one to.
Yeah. In February, I get a nice up close look at gators. I'm going to Gatorland in Orlando. So
is Gatorland a thing?
Yep, it's basically movie
that's
world
mad.
for gators.
It's got a bit of Tiger King about it, surely.
Yep, definitely.
Movie world for gators. That's sick. Ask him if it's possible to fight off a gator with
a knife and a stick.
A stick after you've been bitten by one and death rolled.
Yeah.
After being horribly weak as piss from like not eating and malnourished and like working at a slave plantation.
Yeah.
And not sleeping. But anyway, you could pick apart all this stuff. But what did you make of it wasn't for the faint-hearted, this film. It was very eye-opening. Lots of like people hanging and beheadings, that sort of caper.
Yeah, I thought it was like this very in-your-face portrayal of like the violence and nastiness,
which is good. Like
of slavery.
You've got to do that with slave films. Like it is what it is. Like I feel like all movie like theme movies like this, like slave films tell the story the best for what they're trying to portray. Like you really get a good idea of it.
Yeah, you can't. There's no way to like sugarcoat slavery and make it not horrible.
And I always think like surely it's got to be a touchy one to make a film about. Like,
yeah, because
is everyone okay with it?
Like
movies about it, like, or is it raising awareness? Like people want the story told.
Like in the context of all time on Earth, slavery was not that long ago.
Right. What? 150 years ago.
Yeah, well, This happened in the 1800s, so
yeah,
like 150 years. Like there are definitely still descendants that have been taught about these people.
Well, that's like when like the official date of like politically slavery was abolished, but I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty, and you could probably argue that slavery was still around in the 60s and 70s, and depending who you ask, it's probably still around today.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a conversation for another day.
So,
but yeah, and what I was trying to say too, like with war films, like I think they are sugarcoated a bit. Like I think they give you an unrealistic idea of what war is like until we watched All Quiet on the Western Front, which was the most like realistic. Like I would think that's what war's like and life in the trenches.
Yeah, like there's no glorification or sugarcoating in that movie or in this one.
So, I love a raw film. I love it. I just love it in your face. A not for the faint-hearted film. Gets me up and about.
So yeah, this one directed by Antoine, Fuqua, and starring Will Smith in the lead role. It basically follows Will Smith's character known as Peter, but the actual person that he was based on was known as Gordon. And it's all about him. Yeah, he escapes his plantation slave camp and has to try and trek through Louisiana's swamps and rural areas to get to Lincoln's army.
Baton Rouge.
Yeah. After Lincoln has declared slavery essentially illegal.
5-day journey on foot. Yeah, so he wasn't really it was a plantation, I guess, but that was like a working camp when they were working on the railways.
Yeah, like
just looked like the hardest work, and it blows my mind every time you see like building the railway in the late 1800s in movies. Like it's just mind blowing how they done it.
Yeah,
one of the great wonders of the world. Like the early railways.
He starts off in like a proper cotton plantation and then gets basically sold and shipped out to build this railway for the army, and it looked horrible. Like,
yeah,
the moment that really hit me on like how in your face this was the like mass grave.
Yeah, I was just about to say when they're burying the bodies, like just right next to where they're working, pretty much.
Yeah, they make him toss the bodies in there,
drop dead from heat exhaustion and chuck them in there.
Then the white workers are like, I'm not throwing the lime on it when there's a perfectly good black man there to do it for me, so he can do it.
Speaking of, what was the go with that? Like that black worker, guard that was with all the white guys. They didn't really say much about that. That was a weird one.
Yeah, apart from like at the end when Peter says to him, "You are the worst of them." Like,
yeah, the worst kind.
Because you've kind
coward. Jump ship, and
you're now participating and helping track down other slaves, which you were originally. So, what
did we think of the acting? I thought across the board it was pretty mediocre from everyone. Like, other than like Will Smith, obviously did a great job, and I thought like not even like performance wise, like not even when he's not talking, just how he moved around, and he really did that well, and like that told a story in itself. I think of like the hurt and just the body language. I thought that was really good acting, like in that aspect. But from like everyone else, all the other supports, I don't think it was crash hot. There were a few instances I was watching. I was like, oh, this isn't that great acting.
Yeah, there was like Will Smith obviously stood out the only complaint I had with him was the accent. Like, it was the most
Yeah,
cliched black Haitian accent of all time. I was like, oh, that's pulling me out of it. I wish they hadn't done that.
Yeah, that was a bit of a turn off for me as well.
But I
was happy to look past that.
The other person that stood out as giving a fantastic performance was Stephen Ogg as Sergeant Howard, the guy that like threatens to shoot him at the.
I was actually going to write that down in my notes. Yeah, that was impressive.
He was great, and everyone else was kind of just there.
I noticed that straight away when I first noticed like the poor acting. I was like, he's actually a standout.
And like just the way he looks like a slave owner. Like,
yeah, very good. And with his dog. Yeah, that was brilliant. I thought, and I almost thought for a second he had a bit of a decent bloke in him, like he was gonna help the Peter out.
Yep. Nope.
Nah.
And even
decent bloke in that guy.
Even when they catch one of the other slaves that escapes with Peter, and they basically say like,
"Oh, that made me angry."
If you tell us where he's going, we'll let you go. And they let him go, sort of, until they shoot him in the back and leave him to the alligators. Like,
I was disappointed they didn't show the gator getting him too.
Yeah, that was probably a budget saver.
Yeah, big time.
A lot cheaper to show like shadows swimming through the water than an actual person getting eaten.
Leave people wondering. Yeah, I wanted. We got heaps of gore. I just wanted that gator attack.
I was looking at some of the director's other movies, and so he's done Training Day, King Arthur, Shooter, which is a fantastic movie.
I actually did look at this as well.
The Equalizer, Southpaw, another fantastic movie.
Oh, don't get me started. It's a heartbreaking movie, Southpaw. Yeah. I refused. I've watched it once. I refuse to watch it again.
Yep.
I refuse. It is such a great film, but I refuse to watch it again. It ruined me.
And then he did Infinite, which is it's okay one on Paramount. And then his most recent one prior to Emancipation was Bullet Train, which is amazing. So fun.
You've been telling me to watch that. It just looks horrible.
It looks
book by its cover.
It looks ridiculous, but it's just like a fun movie.
I think maybe because it reminds me of that movie, The Train to Busan.
Yeah, it definitely takes inspiration from that.
Is there like a Snakes on a Train movie too? There probably is. There would be.
Probably, but yeah, there is a good snake moment in that movie.
I was just about to say, were the snakes scary in Emancipation? I know I hate snakes.
Yeah.
I can't stand them. I can't stand the sight of them, like even on TV. Did you see that there was a video going around online yesterday? People driving along the freeway and a snake come out of their bonnet.
Oh yeah, and it's just like flapping in the wind.
You can have that.
I would be pulling over so quick.
Mate.
No, thank you.
That's a hard no.
It's like when a spider comes out of your air vent and you're just like, oh.
See, I don't really care much for spiders, Like, they don't really do it for me. Like, they're just getting about their work, doing their thing.
Yeah, but so is a snake.
Nah, snakes, nah. Nah. You can't trust snakes. At least a spider's just going to run away from you. I don't mind them. Snakes, you can have them. Gators, I like gators though. Big gator guy.
So, like, you mentioned the iconic photo that this movie is kind of essentially built around and all built up to that point. How do you think they did in terms of portraying that photo and that moment?
I guess that was the big I don't know, elephant in the room, I guess. Yeah, that did well to me. Like I said, that was just a bit of a shocking moment too, I guess. I think the biggest distraction for me was how that camera actually worked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, old school cameras are nuts.
I was like, how? Like, they put like the little shade thing in, then they left it, but they didn't really like click any buttons, and there was no flash that went off like you see. I don't know. Yeah, I was just mesmerised by that camera, to be honest with you.
Yeah, those cameras are weird. Like, yeah, you put in like the film, but it has to be like sheathed from light. So then once it goes in, then you pull the screen out from the film, and then they take the lens cap off, and the light that comes in through the lens, like basically burns onto the film.
That's fascinating.
And then you put the cap back on and the sheath back in, and then take that out and leave it. And once it develops, then that's what you get.
Nuts, eh?
Like, it's wild that they have to like you can't move while that's happening. Otherwise, you end up with this crappy blurred image. You just got to
imagine
sit like in this weird, awkward position that they put him in so that they could show off the scarring.
One other thing I was disappointed about that they didn't show. I wanted like more to see more of his injuries, like when he got to that army camp. I was very curious about the gator attack. What was he doing? Like, man, backtracking a bit, he was sitting up in the tree, like sleeping or something. But he was like picking. Was he picking those gator teeth out of his skin with a knife? Is that what he was doing?
I think so. Yeah.
That is insane. Well, I want to know how much of this is true too. I really I want to get to the crux of this gator attack. I want to know if that happened. Because it's so far-fetched, like, to just chuck in there, it almost takes away from it. It almost, like, takes the mickey out of
I suspect
it's got to be real. It's got to be real.
The gator thing was, like...
I'm calling it as real.
He maybe killed a gator and ate the gator, and that's how he, like, made it through that entire journey. But whether he was, like, attacked is probably an addition to make it a bit more exciting. Because I feel like what they've done is they've gone... Okay, we've got to get the photo in there somehow. He was part of that black regiment in the army. We've got to get that in there. He worked on the trains. That's in there. And maybe he ate some gator on his journey. I feel like they're the 4 critical moments, and then they've just whatever else we can put out in there. And some of the like side characters are probably real people around that time.
I like how they the whites cut the gator open to see if he or had his body parts inside. That was cool.
Yeah, they have no faith that he actually died in this. They still have to make sure. And
I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
They find out and they just eat the gator himself.
Research tonight. Yeah, that's mad. They cooked up the gator. Is this movie up there with the greatest slave movie ever made in 12 Years a Slave?
No.
No?
I absolutely adored 12 Years a Slave.
How good is it? I've seen it
incredible
heaps of times.
I feel like, like you said,
5 times.
That is like the pinnacle of slavery.
How much do you hate the Benedict Cumberbatch character, though? This grinds your gears.
So weird going from hating him in that to him becoming Doctor Strange, and everyone's like, oh yeah, he's great. He played a slave back here 10 years ago.
Brilliant actor. Yeah, that movie was all time. That's one of the greats. What other, I can't, off the top of my head, great slave movies are out there?
Django Unchained.
One
but
of
that's
the greats.
Like very like wacky out there Tarantino slave movie.
That is a slave movie, I guess.
Something else. I can't remember what the other ones are, but yeah. Watching this, I was like, yeah, this is very like reminiscent of 12 Years a Slave, but doesn't hit the same levels.
Yeah. One thing I was going to mention too, do you reckon the original of that photo is still getting around somewhere? In like a Civil War museum or something?
It's probably in like the American National Museum archives.
That stuff fascinates me. And like it said at the end how that photo like travelled around the world, and it's like not like you can photocopy stuff back then either. Like they literally just would have, that single original photos would have travelled around the world for everyone to see.
Yeah, like they would have
told the
taken
true
a photo of a photo, maybe.
Wow, you can actually do that.
That's probably the best they could have done in terms of copy.
Yeah, true actually.
But yeah, like that was kind of the photo that made everyone realize how messed up slavery was and how badly these people were treated.
I personally think American history is great. Like the Civil War and that, I think it's fascinating. Like Lincoln.
They have
They have great history.
They have so much history in such a short time period of a country.
I know.
Like, that's the crazy part. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna. All these English people come over trying to find gold and prosperity.
Yeah, the English coming to America is just that era is just fascinating.
And then they basically take over. They take over America, and then they decide, you know what? We don't like the English anymore. We want to be our own country. And then they have this massive war, and then they have slavery, and they have another massive war. It's like, holy dooly.
Would have been great to go to school in America and learn all that. Even Australian history, we didn't even get taught that much about Australian history in school, eh?
Yeah, like we
just got taught the most pointless stuff of other subjects.
Colonization, a brief touch on Ned Kelly, but not in depth on that.
Ned Kelly? Why are we learning about Ned Kelly in school?
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. It's like, oh, okay.
What's some other dumb shit we got taught in school? Like Egyptians and ancient history. I don't care about that sort of stuff.
I loved ancient history. I was much more interested in ancient history than modern history.
I absolutely frothed World War I, World War II history.
See, that's where we differ. You're the modern history guy. I'm the ancient history guy. I was like, yeah, give me all the Greek and Egyptian history.
What are they going to be learning about in 80 years at school? COVID, you reckon? Getting a run in history?
Yes.
Because it's huge, eh? It's it was that last 2 years, 2020, 2021 was absolutely huge, eh?
And it wasn't
in the grand scheme of things.
It wasn't yet isolated to one or two countries. The whole
world
was
changed the
what
world
is happening?
Forever. It was insane, thinking back on it.
So yeah, they'll have that. They'll have 9/11.
Oh yeah, 9/11 will get a start.
9/11
would be its own subject in American schools, man.
Oh yeah.
There'll be university courses on it. Hook all the 9/11 content into my veins. To be fair, I love it. Why does America have just so much interesting shit happen? Because they do glorify a lot though, and they do claim it and shove it down our throats.
I love it when the 9/11 docos give me something
new and something groundbreaking.
The same thing over and over.
I just want Bush to admit he did it.
You're one of those people.
100% I am. You seen when he got tapped on the shoulder at that school when he was reading the book. He didn't even react. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, it's done."
That's just because he's a dope.
Nah, he did it. Jet fuel doesn't
melt
steel beams, bruh.
A plane flew into the World Trade Center and he was like, "What? What are you talking about?" Okay.
Yeah, that's facts actually. So take what you will with that.
Back to the cast of this movie. We mentioned Stephen Ogg. Do you recognize him from anything?
I'm pretty sure I looked it up because I was curious.
So his most notable acting role is not in film or television. It's in a game.
Did
He
I
plays
this?
Trevor Phillips in Grand Theft Auto 5. The most profitable game.
Bro, it fully is him.
Yeah, he's Trevor.
Oh my god, that's insane. I'm looking at it now. I was like, where does this sort of look familiar from? It's fully Trevor. That is so good, bro.
They totally modelled that character on him.
Oh my god, I'm looking at it now. This is crazy.
So yeah, this was
so random.
This was his
He was
feature film debut.
He was so infuriating in Emancipation.
Yeah. And then his other, he's done a few other smaller acting gigs where he had small roles in The Walking Dead and Better Call Saul, but this is feature film debut, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of him in the future.
I think it was Ben Foster, though. I know we just touched on it, but just reiterating that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Alpha Dog, that was such a good movie.
What did you think of the aesthetic of the not fully black and white, but
I was just going to mention this.
Incredibly desaturated.
I thought I was going to hate it a minute into the film, but I just got used to it. But actually, I was thinking this too, because I wonder if they did it too because of how all the gore, all the blood, it just dulls it down a bit, and it sort of makes it feel more realistic than far-fetched, because it was, some of the stuff was so out there and so raw that I think if it was full normal colour, it wouldn't have looked realistic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you would have, you've been able to tell that it was like fake, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
it did. It definitely added to the mood.
I think it might have also been there to accentuate the contrast between the black and the white actors and characters.
It was very low contrast.
Yeah, and like the black characters are very black, and then the white characters.
Well, the white characters are all so like dirty and like and dark, like because of the low contrast, that it almost, they all look as one to an extent. Like
yeah,
it just made everyone sort of one.
Yeah, it was either to make them like pop and stand out a bit more, or to kind of blend them and kind of blur those lines of we're all just humans.
And I was also wondering if it was actually filmed like that or edited.
I assume it was probably just edited that way, because
sometimes you see
there are pops of color in the background.
And there's sort of changed. I don't know if you noticed, but some scenes would be, the color would come in and out, and it'd get darker, and it was like wavy, like I don't know.
Yeah, especially like
a lot of scenes. I noticed that, like with the greens,
in the background,
like the
you
green
see
will get heaps green, all of a sudden it'll dim back out.
Yeah, you see lots of greens. The orange in the fire as well really pops.
Yeah.
So I think it's been filmed in color, and then they've desaturated it and gone in and done color grading on specific elements.
What do you think of the battle scene at the end?
Full on,
eh? That was like death sentence, like suicide mission.
One role I would not have wanted in that whole entire thing was
the flag bearer
carrying the giant flag.
Yeah, with no gun. I was like, what is this guy doing?
No gun, giant flag. Like, here I am, shoot me, please.
I noticed that too. I was like, is he actually not got a gun? He was almost hot. He got through.
I don't know how.
He was almost, because he got the American flag with him, bro.
Like,
cheap.
If I'm on the other side, I'm like, there's a guy. I'm shooting him.
Yeah, it was sick though. Crazy war back then, eh? They've just got these rifles with like single bullets, essentially. And a knife. Like, that's just proper battle, that is.
The old school musket where you take a shot and then it's 5 minutes before you get to take another shot. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah. Full on. It's good though.
And I mentioned the fire. What did you think of the clearly fake CGI'd fire in certain points?
Yeah, it was a bit like that, hey? Like when that mass grave caught on fire.
Yeah, that was one that stood out.
There was something else that was really bad
the fire
CGI.
Was like floating above the stuff that was supposed to be burning. Like it just looked off.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was attached.
I think
to anything. It was just like
overlaid.
Overlaid.
Because of like we just mentioned, the low contrast and how they edited it, it really didn't do the fire justice. Like made the fire look shit.
Like the actual flames looked really good. They just didn't look like they were attached to what they were attached to.
Obviously, like the gator scene underwater when Will Smith's getting attacked was very bad, like as far as CGI goes. But there was another scene I noticed, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bit cheesy." But at the same time, like all the gory scenes, like the heads that were like cut off and on stakes, and like the injuries and that, all that stuff was done so well.
Yeah, I think all of that would have been practical, special effects, makeup, and stuff like that, and those looked incredible. But anytime they had to do CG, it was like, yeah, that's cheap out on this, even though this was not a cheap film.
Yeah. Oh, really? How much? Just give me some numbers.
So I'm
not sure. They definitely did cheap out on a lot of things.
I'm not entirely sure on the production budget, but Apple paid $130 million for the exclusive rights for this.
Kidding me?
They outbid
100
Warner and someone else.
Don't like really, really successful films do like 120 mil at the box office. Like they're the top tier. Like you get 4 films a year that do those numbers. 130 mil.
Yep, to chuck it on a streaming service.
Jesus,
the joys of being Apple and having pretty much unlimited cash.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like, yeah, they were always winning this fight. Like, I don't think anybody else could have matched them in terms.
What's that figure that they? It's barbaric. How much it cost them to make an iPhone? It was something stupid, like $16 or something. It cost
Yeah,
them.
it's not much.
And yet they're charging like
fortune off it.
$2,000 for them. It's crazy.
So yeah, like I said, I enjoyed this film. It didn't quite live up to the.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I didn't think of that.
If you've got Apple TV Plus, like it's absolutely worth a watch.
Sure, it was great. Yeah, it was gritty as, and like I said, just made me want to run through a brick wall after watching it. It gives you a lot of perspective on life too. Makes you like grateful for what you got and what you're
not
doing.
Living during that time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's so if you need to kick up the ass and an attitude adjustment, like watch Emancipation.
It's a pretty surprising follow-up from Will Smith's previous movie as well.
What was he doing last?
His last movie won him an Academy Award for Best Actor, King Richard.
Ah. Yeah,
and then he went and slapped Chris Rock and disappeared for a bit and then came back now.
Yeah, if he's getting nominated for Emancipation, he won't be accepting it in person, will he? Has he got like 10-year ban or something?
Yeah, I don't think he'll get an award for this one, but...
You don't reckon?
I just don't see them awarding him for anything again for a while.
Ben Foster, supporting actor?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it wasn't that great. He was good, but not that great. Anyway.
So now switching over to a very different but still dark period in time. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, the brand new Netflix stop-motion animated film, which reimagines the classic Pinocchio tale, but this time places it in 1930s fascist
Italy, indeed.
And basically follows Pinocchio as he learns the true meaning of life. What did you think of this one? I thought this was fantastic, particularly compared to
it was friggin' exceptional.
The last Pinocchio we watched.
Friggin' exceptional, and that Tom Hanks live action shouldn't exist. Let's just forget that movie exists. That
not now that we've got this.
And now that we've got this is the one we needed.
Of the two Pinocchios in 2022, there is one.
I will say this though. So let's stop trying to reinvent the wheel with like these movies. Like, let's just leave it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like we've peaked with Pinocchio. Like, I don't think we're getting any better than this.
Don't try and make another Pinocchio movie because this one's sick. It's like with like Batman or the Joker. Like, I love Joker. I love Batman. Just stop now. We've had enough Joker.
Except we're getting Joker 2 and
Batman 2. I don't want that.
It's coming. They've started filming.
I know, but I'm keen as I am to see it. Like the Heath Ledger Joker, then the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want another one. As much as I love it, I don't want another one.
The thing that annoys me the most about the Batman and Joker, like they feel like they could easily be blended and be in the one universe, but they're not. They're being kept separate. It's like, can we not just DC stop fucking around and put a plan in place, which hopefully is what James Gunn is going to do.
Yeah, I'm obviously very curious, and it'll break the internet when they reveal his Joker. But yeah, I'm happy with what we got already. But I'll happily keep taking new Batmans.
We did get the Joker reveal in the last Batman.
Yeah, we know who's doing it, by the way. I mean, like, what does it look like? You know what I mean?
I saw a photo of it. He looks weird as all hell.
Bullshit. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. He looks really creepy and weird. So we'll see.
Full on creep, man, that bloke. What's his name? Keogh? Someone?
Yeah. Barry Keogh.
Barry Keogh. Full on weirdo. Great actor, though. Anyway, back to whatever we're talking about, Pinocchio. Yeah, it's an interesting take, hey? It was definitely not a kid's movie. It's very, what's the word? It's got a lot of meaning behind it.
Yeah, it's a lot of depth in this movie where...
It's almost like it's so much about Pinocchio and that follows Pinocchio, but at the same time, it's more about Geppetto.
Yep.
a lot more about Geppetto, even though he's barely in it, which I didn't like because I was loving his character.
Yeah, it's definitely
so
about,
instead of like
life, death,
instead of
being a
Pinocchio needing to change his ways and like all that, this is more about Geppetto needing to change his attitude towards Pinocchio and just appreciate him, because it's sort of very hateful towards him at the start, wasn't he, in this?
Yeah, it's all about his growth from being just like
I really did
depressed from what happens to then.
We finally got a backstory on Carlo though, his son, Geppetto's son. That was great.
Yeah,
I was enjoying
very
that.
sad opening.
Yeah, I was enjoying that. Yeah, that was very dark.
Like watching this, I was like, this is visually stunning.
Well, do we know what happened to it?
It starts sad.
Like the original story, do we know what happened to Carlo? Like how he died? I've never really heard, eh? Then again, I haven't read the original book.
Yeah, I haven't read the book.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. Like he was walking back into the church to get his little pine cone, and the war planes drop bombs on the church, and I was like, whoa, shit.
Yeah,
but then he gets to work with his hammers and his chisels, and he out of this log, and he voila. Oh, one thing I should have mentioned at the start, I knew I was going to love this film as soon as I heard Ewan McGregor start narrating it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love Ewan McGregor. I was like, oh, this is going to be sick. Which turns out he was Jiminy Cricket.
Yep.
Which I didn't really. There wasn't enough Jiminy Cricket in this for me.
Yeah,
but he was an actual cricket. Like there was no fancy clothes, no little green goblin thing. Like an actual cricket.
Yeah, like it's. I think it's still a kids' movie just because of like the Pinocchio.
I think it's too dark
storyline, but there's a lot in here for just an adult.
I don't think kids would enjoy this, to be honest with you. Like the war theme.
I think all the war stuff
fascism,
will go over their heads.
Yeah, it'll go over their heads, but it's a bit. I think it'll be a bit much for kids.
Yeah, I did see Del Toro said he sort of took inspiration from the original Pinocchio, but also viewed it as like kind of a horror and an infusion of like Frankenstein, which is kind of what Pinocchio is. Like, he's this monster that is an outcast.
Did I see a Hail Hitler salute in this?
Yes.
I was like, whoa. Like, did you just go there in a Pinocchio film?
Old mate, what's his name?
I don't know. I couldn't think of his name. It's like the circus ringleader.
Il Dottore, he is 100% a Nazi.
Yeah, that's full on, bro.
And like Mussolini is at the very end. Like, it's 100%.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
A commentary on fascism and Nazism.
It's not a kids' movie. But you gotta learn sometime, kiddos.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned the cast. Ewan McGregor as Sebastian J. Cricket.
Yep.
Incredible, fantastic.
The cast is actually stacked.
Yeah.
Tilda 100%. Swinton got a run.
Yep, as the Wood Sprite and Death. She plays two characters in this one.
Who else? Like one of those kids from Stranger Things. What's his name?
Yeah, so we got David Bradley as Master Geppetto. He's well known as Argus Filch in Harry Potter and Walder Frey in Game of Thrones.
How good was he? I wanted more of him. Not enough Geppetto in this, bro. Not enough.
Gregory Mann played Pinocchio and Carlo, another double role. Ron Perlman as Podesta, the fascist government official. He's from Sons of Anarchy fame. This is the 8th time he's worked with Guillermo del Toro.
Huge.
Which is crazy.
That's huge.
John Turturro as Il Dottore, famous for being Carmine Falcone in The Batman, like we were talking about before, and as Irving in Severance.
True.
And then Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, Ghostbusters, and It Chapter 2 plays Candlewick.
I just had to giggle to myself at how cute the Irving character is in Severance. I loved him. How good is he? Oh, yeah, Severance got nominated for a heap of awards recently, which is good to see.
Yeah, and it's coming back.
The show is friggin' acceptable on none other than Apple TV, of course. Mm-hmm. We should get paid to promote it. We should get free subscription over here in the commentary booth.
Who else did we have? Oh, had Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett.
Spazzatura, the little monkey. Have you heard how she got this role?
No.
So she was working with Del Toro on the Nightmare Alley movie recently.
Mm.
And while they were filming that, she obviously knew that he was working on Pinocchio and basically begged him to give her a role. Like it's like, I need a role. I need to be in this movie. And he turned around and goes, well, the only slot that I have open is a monkey. And she saw the design and was like, yep, this is my spirit animal. I need to be this character. And then she spends half the movie just making weird monkey noises and not actually talking.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I wouldn't have picked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that monkey was cool though. Had a bit of character about him.
And then the last major actor we had was Christopher Waltz.
Yeah, I've seen he was in the cast. Who did he play?
He plays Count Volpe, the puppet master.
Ah, true.
And he's from Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained, our slave movie, and The French Dispatch.
He's in The French Dispatch.
He's fantastic.
Jeez, that's a freaking good movie. I wouldn't mind watching that again.
Del Toro basically said, he wanted Volpe to have an accent, but he needed to be able to, speak French and Italian and a bit of German, and sound like it was natural, not some person pretending. Mm-hmm. And the only person that came to mind was Christopher Waltz, and he jumped at it. And
he's so good in Glorious Bastards.
Fantastic. I think everyone in this cast does an incredible job in the roles they're casting.
Pretty sick casting. Some heavy hitters. Ewan McGregor, the GOAT. Why? Just brushing on slightly off topic. The other Pinocchio film with Tom Hanks. I know we've reviewed it already, but that was that career denting, legacy denting for Tom Hanks? Do you think? Because it was pretty horrendous,
Yeah.
At a time when he just did
everything he'd done
Colonel
in the last
Tom Parker in Elvis, which I'm still on the fence about. Just the accent, the Dutch accent was so bad. I think.
Yeah, I think his last two outings have been pretty poor compared to the previous 10 years worth of work.
Yeah. What do you? I don't know if I've asked you this before. What film is Tom Hanks known for in your eyes?
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
Castaway.
Oh, Castaway. What do you reckon more? If you asked 100 people on the street, first Tom Hanks film that comes to mind,
Forrest Gump.
Would it be Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
So I used to worry about Castaway.
I reckon you're probably going to get 80% Forrest Gump, and then you might get 20 that say Castaway.
I can't imagine out of 100 people anyone saying anything other than those two first off the bat. Or people would say Toy Story. Woody.
No.
Is he Woody? He's Woody.
Yeah.
Who's
but it's 100%. It'd 100% be
who's Buzz again? We've been through this. Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
And because Tim Allen wasn't Buzz in Lightyear, was he?
Nope.
Who was it? Buzz in Lightyear. It's not him.
Not Hemsworth. What's his name? God damn it.
Right.
You look it up.
Lightyear. It is Chris Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans. I said Hemsworth. I knew it wasn't Hemsworth.
Isn't Chris Evans playing Super Mario?
Yes. Maybe?
No, he's not. Some other Evans is. Who's the other Evans?
Chris Pratt.
He's Chris Pratt. Yeah.
There's too many Chris's in Hollywood.
That's going to be bad, I reckon, in that Mario. For not having an Italian.
The accent, Chris Pratt, terrible casting. The rest of the movie looks fantastic.
It looks sick. It looks fun as shit.
The trailer looks incredible, and then he talks, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. Actually, someone edited the trailer or a clip from the film and put the original
Mario actor in it.
That's sick.
So much better.
Going back to Pinocchio, they've obviously that's its own take on the film, and they've changed things around. But much like in what was I going to say, like in Emancipation, after, like you said, they needed the photo scene, the things actually happened and built around it. in Pinocchio, the version of that is the whale scene, is what I'm getting at. They like one of those things they have to put in there. How do you think that was portrayed?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's another one, like a big character, like, how are they going to do the whale? Because I really didn't like the whale in the Tom Hanks movie.
Yeah. This one was way better.
Yeah, this one was sick. And like, again, it was like very dark because they had all them, like the mines in the sea. The bombs.
Because it was, wartime.
And you got one stuck in his mouth. That was cool.
I think like the biggest changes they've made for this are that opening sequence where we get the backstory on
that was so
why Geppetto makes Pinocchio.
I was like, this is impressive. Like, about time we knew about that.
And then the other big change was he doesn't go to like the island of toys and boys where they're just like having fun. Like,
he doesn't really go to school either, does he?
No, they basically skip that.
And
he goes to like the army camp, and that's like a different thing where they're not free to do whatever they want. They're kind of like being trained to be soldiers, and that makes him realize like
sort of
family is where I need to be.
He's sort of been held hostage too in this one, whereas previously he's like straight up kidnapped and locked up and traveling with the circus, so to speak.
Yeah, like this one, he's
almost willingly there, but
he's kind of like guilt tripped into it. And, blackmailed.
He's very blasé, isn't he? Our little Pinocchio.
Yeah, he's just so innocent and has no idea what's happening.
Bit of a space cadet is Pinocchio.
What did you think of the like visual aesthetic of this with the stop motion animation style?
That's sick.
Yeah, it was so well done.
Yeah, it's very arty. Very arty.
I thought it was like a beautiful movie to watch, and
it's wholesome.
Incredible amount of creativity and artistry involved.
It's easy to watch too, like very easy to watch.
And when I was watching it, like within like 10 minutes, I was like, this instantly has more heart and soul than that Tom Hanks one from earlier in the year.
That
felt very much just like a cash grab.
The more I think about it, the more infuriated I get, that Tom Hanks one.
Yeah. And then you watch this one, you're like, yeah, this is actually...
Yeah, this is the one we needed. Because I know before both of these were out, and we're like, why are we getting two Pinocchios? Like, what's going on here? That's pretty random. Oh, this would be interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, this one, if you're going to watch Pinocchio one, definitely watch this one.
Just pretend the other one doesn't exist.
Something else I would highly recommend if you've watched this Pinocchio, then go and watch the 30-minute making of documentary that's on Netflix as well.
For this?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
It is so good. Like, they show you the models and everything they use to film it, and
I'll fully just do that tonight.
The amount of crazy work that goes into animating a movie like this with so much detail.
Were you impressed with Geppetto's craftsmanship? Oh, I was. Of making Pinocchio, I was very impressed how he carved him out of like a piece of wood.
Did you notice the little detail in that character model as well?
What detail? Is there a particular detail?
So the right side of his head, because he starts making him when he's like drinking and in basically a depressed mood. The right side of his head where he starts to carve Pinocchio is like incredibly detailed and like masterfully built with really detailed ear and hair. And then as he gets further and further to the other side of his head, it just becomes like sloppy and rushed.
I didn't know that. That's good. Yeah, so, that is a nice detail. You've done well there.
And yeah, when you watch the documentary, they show like right up
did
close
they explain
that,
it?
you can see. Yeah, and you can see like...
That's niche, hey?
With the models, they have one that's like 30, 40 centimeters tall, and that's the one that they use most of the time. But then they have like really tiny little Pinocchios for certain scenes where he needs to look small compared to other characters.
I thought I noticed, when he was like on stage doing that performance, I was like, he looks so tall there.
Yeah, it would have just been a different size.
Yeah.
And then they have a big, giant Pinocchio as well for when the Jiminy Cricket 30 centimeter model has to sit on his shoulder and talk to him, which that's a cool moment.
Hey, what's the go with Jiminy Cricket and Geppetto? Does Geppetto not know he exists? Is it like just a character, like a thing he doesn't know it's there? He doesn't, eh? Or is it like just like a spirit? Is it like a spirit animal in Pinocchio's imagination? I've never known of seeing Geppetto talk to Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, they do on the boat.
True. Yeah,
they definitely speak.
Yeah, because all that scenes like from the movies in the house, I've never noticed them talking.
Yeah, but yeah, once Pinocchio leaves, they definitely do interact.
True. For that.
And yeah, watching that documentary, I learned a couple of interesting facts. The Pinocchio model is the first and only model in the movie that is 3D printed. It wasn't like handcrafted like all of the others.
Oh.
And they did that so that it actually looked like a solid piece of wood rather than a mechanical body with stuff draped over the top of it, and it has like 16 different heads essentially, like with different facial expressions on each one. So filming this crazy when they show the like time lapse of them filming scenes, and it's just like constant little minor adjustments and movements. They change out a head, they change out.
Speaking of that, one thing I was trying to pick up on and trying to look for is because it's obviously in Italy, like they're not really Italian characters. I was trying to look at the mouths when they're talking, if they were actually talking in Italian or if it was English. Is that being too picky to say they're not Italian, like, or didn't have an Italian accent, but just speak in English? Because what were they? Just American, eh?
Yeah, they just had like their own little accent, the actors' accents, or.
There's a lot of that going on in the Tom Hanks one.
Yeah.
Too much going on there.
Fake Italian accents.
Yeah, that was shit. Ugh,
this one was way easier to watch in that aspect.
Yeah, I was trying to pick up, like, especially when the boy was talking a lot. I was just trying to see if that was like, it was actually sort of like dubbed over. Like the original, they did the mouth movements in Italian, but it's a bit hard to.
And then that, like a lot of the other models, like the human models, they're like these weird like wire skeleton heads and bodies and stuff with latex like skin pulled over them, and then like all the parts inside the head can like be slightly adjusted and moved. So when they're filming those scenes, like they might lift an eyebrow up a little bit, or the cheekbones might move a bit, or the mouth might move a little bit, and it's all just like they just squish the like latex around it, and it just looks so good. And that's where you sort of get that really stylistic design of the characters with the big protruding eyebrows and the big beard all works, and it looks so good. Like I couldn't believe how pretty this movie looked.
Yeah, it was aesthetically pleasing, like nice to watch. Nothing was like tacky or unrealistic. It was just very great, like done everything justice. Great film.
And I think having Del Toro as a straight up like actual director who usually directs live action, they did a really good job of making these characters act and move like real people. Like he in that documentary talks about like when you're acting in real life, there might be like slight mistakes or differences on how you do each take. Yeah. And then you find the takes that work the best together to make the movie. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you do something like this with stop motion, everything tends to be very deliberate and exacting. So you kind of lose that reality and realness to the performance. Yeah. So what they actually had to do when they were making this is they had to sort of intentionally put in errors or mistakes. So like there's a moment where Carlo goes to pick up the pine cone and like misses it slightly to the right and then has to move his hand to grab it. Oh. So like they intentionally put these mistakes in, which subconsciously you don't like pick up, but you pick up that that's something that would actually happen. Like when people do things, they're not perfect every single time. And
I did notice. I think I noticed a couple of things like that when he was like hammering away at when he was carving out Pinocchio. Some little like imperfections like that. I did notice a couple of things like throughout.
Yeah, very well done. In terms of like some trivia things, surprisingly, this didn't cost as much as I thought it would. It was only $35 million. I thought, with the amount of detail and work that went into these puppets and
craftsmanship and labour hours,
just the hours to film every
I'd love to know
single scene.
Did they mention in the documentary how long it took? They would.
It has been in the works for like 15 years, but a lot of that time it was just
once they start like filming. I mean,
once they started, it still would have been a while.
Yeah.
And it clocks in as the longest stop motion animated film at 117 minutes.
Huge. Yeah, I noticed it was like 156 minutes, which I wasn't keen for it to be over 2 hours. So I was happy with that, but I enjoyed it, so I didn't really mind.
And then another interesting fact. The soundtrack and score for this movie was created by Alexandre Desplat, and all of the instruments used in this movie are wooden instruments. So you get like guitars, violins, and then all the like wind instruments are woodwind instruments.
Yeah,
such a cool like choice of this character is a wooden character.
Yeah, it's
only use wooden instruments.
A woodworker's porno, you could say.
That's one description of the movie.
Put that in like quotations on a movie poster.
That's getting clipped out.
So that's probably it for that.
So in terms of top recommendations for the week, which one are you leaning on since you seem to enjoy both of these?
I rated both of these. Hey, this is a tough recommendation. I don't know. I reckon Emancipation, like I said, if you need a bit of an attitude adjustment or watch Emancipation, it'll bring you back down to earth.
Okay. Well, for me, I am highly recommending Del Toro's Pinocchio. I thought this was phenomenal. And like I said, if you're going to watch a Pinocchio this year, watch this one. Ignore the Disney Plus version.
It's act like it doesn't exist.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can get the episodes early over on Patreon at patreon.com/JamieUpsMedia. You can follow me on social media at JamieUpsMedia and at Pario Magazine. And you can follow Blake on Twitter at Captain Crumbs with a Z.
With a Z.
Thank you, Blake, and have a wonderful Christmas.
You too, brah. Stay safe.
The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Ups Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/JamieUpsMedia. The following people supported at the publisher level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support.